Leadership has to be natural. There is no need to put a facade and be somebody else.
Mhm,
Oh, that's
mhm.
what my corporate culture is. Oh, that is what they did to succeed. So let me do what they did.
When we look at leaders, they should have exponential energy, but yet they feel exhausted. Where does this contradiction comes from?
Once you kindle that energy, you kindle the human spirit, and the human spirit soars, then the brain opens up, and then you have clarity. You're working on something, you just get a nice nap for 20 minutes, power nap. You wake up, and boom, you have the solution. Inspire leadership is about the spire is the spirit, inspiring the spirit, the energy to facilitate your mind and body to act optimally. Oh, I'm a different person at home and a different person at work. How common is that?
This is the recipe. This is what they can do starting now, not tomorrow, not the next week, right now.
Hi, I'm Roman Zelenka and welcome to my podcast.
Welcome to the Roman Zelenka Podcast. This is a podcast for leaders who want clarity, energy, and meaning, not just performance, because the real leadership starts inside with awareness and the courage to lead consciously. Today my guest is Venki Raman, a leadership executive coach and a keynote speaker based in Toronto, Canada. In this conversation, we will explore the energy behind leadership. Venki, welcome. I am really glad you are here.
Thank you so much, Roman. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you.
Venki, could you add some more about you and who you are beyond your professional roles?
Absolutely. As you described, I have been a leader for a long time. 40 years of leadership at various levels. Executive leadership in a big Canadian bank where I led very large number of people, different teams, and also managed billions of dollars in financial assets,
Mhm.
and sales, right? I'm also an athlete. I still call myself an athlete at this stage. I,
Nice.
I I do a few triathlons and so on and so forth. Yeah, and I'm a parent. I've got two beautiful children who are married, and I've got their kids. So we are. I'm just a regular guy who went into leadership because I admired leaders, their energy, and
Mhm.
their stamina, and I was fascinated by that right from childhood. I can elaborate on that as we go along.
Yeah. You mentioned that before when we prepared for this podcast that you grew up modestly in India and later on observed leaders across countries and cultures. So how did that journey shape your understanding of leadership and energy of leadership?
Yeah, when I was a kid in India, India was actually a poor country. It was defined as a poor country, and the per capita income was way lower than where it is right now. So I grew up in modest surroundings. We were instilled good values and principles. My parents instilled that in me, and the theme was you want to work hard, you want to educate yourself, and you grow out of this into realizing your ambitions and whatever
Mhm.
you aspire for. So that's what I did. Not that I was a very academically inclined student. I had a lot of energy, and I was straying, getting distracted here and there. But eventually I found my way, and I found my way because of the people that I followed. I followed, uh, thankfully, some leaders within India. At that time, Gandhi was was moving the country along, and we were inspired. The youth of India was inspired by the teachings of Gandhi. So I went into that. Then we observed Mother Teresa. My God, different kind of energy, calmness,
Mhm.
all of that. Then the teachings of Buddha came along again, really. getting deeper into that. All these things kind of shaped my childhood. And then I said, oh my God, look at these athletes. I was watching soccer, which is football,
Mhm.
and I was looking at great players like Pele, how they were able to harness their energy, how they were Maradona, some of those people, cricketers, in India, we play a lot of cricket. So I was observing some of the great cricketers and musicians, painters like Leonardo da Vinci and, Pablo Picasso.
Mhm.
I was, as a young child, we didn't have internet and everything at that time. We were reading books and whatever we could get. We would go to the library, look up Encyclica Britannica, so we would look at that and read up on all these people. And what I came to understand was that there was something common between all these people that shaped the world, including Nelson Mandela. And that was their energy. That energy was unique for them. They were able to harness the energy. They were able to see, because they were harnessing the energy, they were able to see beyond the obstacles that were right in front of them.
Mhm.
Mandela had a lot of obstacles. Maradona had a lot of obstacles. Pele had a lot of obstacles, but yet he was able to score. And and when we talk about Czech Republic, we have Václav Havel, who was
Mhm.
an amazing leader. He faced a lot of resistance,
Mhm.
uh, you know, but they were able to see beyond that obstacle, and
Mhm.
they were not getting tired. They were human beings like you and I. They however, they conditioned their brain to look beyond that, be purposeful, and harness that energy. And that led them to prevail over these obstacles and instill confidence in the people that were following them.
Mhm. Mhm.
So for me, that was my upbringing. So when I was there, I said, look, I don't need a lot of wealth to be successful and achieve my little ambition at that time, which was to be on Wall Street. I wanted to be a broker, a Wall Street broker. That was what
Mhm.
I was fascinated by. So I don't need wealth or anything. I can do with what I have. I have very little, but I can work with this because all these leaders have worked with what they had instead of thinking about what they didn't have.
Mhm.
The focus was on what is working and make it work even more.
Mhm.
So that energy leadership fascinated me. And somehow, even as a young child, youth, I was able to put it together and I said, oh, that is inspiring for me. And that's what I'm going to hang on to. So any obstacle I faced at that time, I was always thinking about that and moving along. And one led to the other, to the other. I started doing well in studies and made my grades, got my admission into good schools, and so on and
Mhm.
so forth. And that's how the youth shaped me. And I was looking at my parents and everybody else, and I realized also that you don't have to be rich to be happy. You just needed to be looking at what you have. And but in those days they were preaching contentment.
Mhm.
And I didn't see contentment and ambition as being conflicting.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people think that if you're contented, then you become complacent and then you're not ambitious. I didn't think of the two as mutually exclusive. I thought they were very good complement to becoming really good. For example, if you look at Mandela, he was able to achieve all that without hatred by using sports. Gandhi was able to achieve independence with nonviolence. Yeah, Pele or Leonardo da Vinci, despite all the obstacles, he was able to achieve greatness. Beethoven was becoming deaf, and still he was able to compose great music. So uh, obstacles are going to be there, but you can always find a way if you harness your energy. That's the conclusion I came to, and that is how my youth was shaped while I was growing up in India.
And Venki, this is exactly why I chose you to this podcast, because you have amazing track record. You are not just someone. You you manage a lot of people. You really made an impact to this world. And so there must be something, and there must be something that we can also convert to leadership and inspire some leaders who are listening to this podcast. The stories, I'm hearing stories from you, and I'm myself, I like to be inspired from these famous leaders as well. Can we say they have something like exponential energy? And when we look at leaders these days, they should have exponential energy, but yet they feel exhausted. So where does this contradiction comes from? Can you give us some advice?
Absolutely. You touched on the core of my being here today. I was as I just mentioned, I was climbing up the ranks. I was a broker, then I became a leader, and I was spotted for bigger and better roles all the time, tapped on the shoulder and given bigger mandates. And ultimately, I said at one point, I said, "Well, I've done everything I wanted to do. In fact, I've exceeded what I dreamt about as a young man. Now what?" And I'll give you a little more of a perspective.
Mhm.
I was always known as a motivational leader. So in the corporate world in Canada, in the banking circles, if you ask anybody in any of the banks, they will tell you, "Oh, Venki, okay, he's a motivational guy." They may not call me brilliant. They may not call me, anything else, but they will definitely describe me as a very motivational person. "Oh, he's the energizer bunny." That's what they would say. For me, I had always, and a number of people, when I was practicing this and I was growing up in the leadership ranks, people said, "You're not going to become a VP because you're too positive. You're too positive." In leadership, we need people to be positive and tough. And you are too positive, Venki.
Mhm.
Yet I had top performance. Anywhere I went, and that's what all my in both the banks that I worked, they would always assign me to areas that had some issues where a turnaround was needed. I became known as a turnaround guy, and any team I went in, within a few months, they would start becoming highly engaged, very gung ho, and then the same team, pretty much for the most part, would be able to perform at a good level. And then it soon became known that they were performing at their very highest potential. So we would always, teams that would be in rankings and leaderboards, you're in the fourth quartile. I would go in the fourth quartile, pick the team up, and then bring them to the first quartile within a year. And in the next year, we would be number one in the leaderboard. Right? It was a very common thing for Venki's leadership to achieve that. That
Mhm.
my team would achieve it, not me. My team was doing it. So, what was the secret sauce there? The secret sauce was very simple for me. It was all about getting people to believe that energy, once you kindle that energy, you kindle the human spirit, and the human spirit soars, then the brain opens up, and then you have clarity. So, your capacity goes up. The first thing, Roman, that happens when you do this is your capacity goes up.
Mhm.
And then once your capacity goes up, that means you have the ability to do more. That's what capacity is, which means you are instantly productive. And when your capacity goes up, what happens to you? You have more clarity because now everything is under control, right? It's under
Mhm.
your capacity, so you have clarity. And when your clarity is up, you have more conviction.
Mhm.
And if you're a leader, think of all, and this is why I get excited because I want to teach this to all leaders, and I'll tell you what I observed very shortly. So when leaders have that conviction, what do you think the followers are going to do? What do you think your team is going to feel? They're going to feel, oh my God, I love this person. Because they have conviction. I'm confused, but they have conviction. And they seem to be people of character. If I follow them, I'm sure I will succeed.
That's instinct.
Exactly. Right? Because everybody loves to follow strength.
Mhm.
And when you have that clarity, when you have that capacity, because of your higher energy, you have that capacity and you have that clarity and you have that conviction, people feel you're strong. In an ambiguous word, you display strength and people want to follow you. And that's what leads to great execution.
Mhm. By
That's
the
the
by the way, Venki, that works in nature and also within humans. They follows uh, leaders with clarity, strength, and vision, and exactly what you are talking about. So let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. I like it.
exactly, Roman.
Mhm.
You said it. See, you used a very powerful word. It goes in nature, you said.
Mhm.
Yeah. We want to be natural, my friend. Leadership has to be natural.
Mhm.
There is no need to put a facade and be somebody else. Unfortunately, many leaders do that because they want to confirm.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
what my corporate culture is. Oh, that is what they did to succeed. So let me do what they did. This is what this person did to succeed. Let me do what they did. And blindly doing that, which is why they say, oh, I'm a different person at home and a different person at work. How common is that? People say that all the time.
Very, very common. Authenticity is not there, definitely.
Exactly. You nailed it. That is exactly what it is.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when authenticity is lacking, what else is lacking? We'll come to that in a minute. But let me go back and revisit this piece about you said go deeper. So let me go deeper for you. In my leadership, I observed a number of leaders around me who were higher up at my level and people, many leaders, I mean, many levels of leaders that I led, that they were all stressed. And unfortunately, I've also lost a few leaders
Mhm.
completely from the world because of that very reason. Okay. I took a decision when I was at the peak of my career to leave that executive income and leadership because I wanted to go out and teach the world that they can live a great life full of vitality, energy, and actually become more successful in their career.
Mhm.
And that's what I wanted to teach. And that is why I went on a quest to sharpen my skills and process. So I went back after being in leadership and leadership psychology for decades. I went back and honed my psychology skills and went back to school for psychology, leadership piece. I went to IPAC, which is one of the top schools in energy leadership, Dr. Bruce Schneider, and then I went and learned with Dr. Talman Shahar, who's my mentor, my guru
Mhm.
in Happiness Studies Academy, and
Mhm.
he is the one that built the SPIRE model, which I use in my talks and in my coaching as well. And of course, my first person that I looked up to was Dr. Stephen Covey,
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
I learned a lot, and that's the person that introduced me into this journey. When you
Venki, that you mentioned something very, very important. So I want to stop there for a while because that process, let's slice it down so anybody can understand. You mentioned stressors. Uh, so in your work, what are the most common stressors that limit leaders? Could it be some trauma, assumptions, beliefs, you name it?
You
Tail.
named it. You named you named a good one. You named all three of them actually.
Mhm.
See, you can call it tail.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So tail, which is trauma, assumptions, interpretations, and limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
These are four factors that come in. Okay. Something in the childhood, affected us, and that put a little bit of fear, not a little bit, but a lot of fear. It went deep into our heart or a gut, and it's sitting there. And we don't even realize it. We've
Mhm.
grown up,
It's unconscious,
but
yeah.
it's there in the subconscious. It's planted.
Mhm.
Then our own upbringing, the way we've been brought up, and all of that makes us interpret the world in a particular way. For example, there are some cultures that are vegetarians and they believe eating meat is is wrong.
Mhm.
So now for them, if you eat meat, you could probably go to hell, right? So but the other cultures believe that there's nothing wrong in eating meat. They believe you eat meat, you can go to heaven, right? So it's interpretation, right? It's interpretation. So similarly, assumptions. We make a lot of assumptions. Oh, because it is like that, it must be because this person came late twice to the meeting, they are sloppy, right? It's
Mhm.
an assumption we make. Little did we do to explore what could be going on. For all you know, they might have somebody in the hospital who they attend, and then they come and they still do a productive day's job. They probably stay 2 hours late and do their thing or whatever it is. They get their job done. But we don't give room for all that. We are judgmental as a society,
Mhm.
and we assume and we do that. So similarly, limiting beliefs is something that we feel, most people at some point or the other, we have a little voice in the back of the head that tells us we need to be more than who we are.
Mhm.
That I'm not enough is a feeling that we always get. Everybody has that. The question is, how do you overcome it, and what do you tell that voice so that it calms down? People make a big deal out of these things, but it's really your physiology. That's what you learn when you go to
Mhm.
school in this, because psychology and physiology are intertwined. The mind and body are intertwined. We call this mind body integration,
Mhm.
MBI. Okay. when the
I,
mi- so-
sorry, I add the third one. I always say mind, body, and spirit.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Spirit
Mm,
is your
mm,
and the word we use here is spirit is what energy,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Spirit is your energy. That is why we call it energy leadership. And inspire leadership is about the spire is the spirit, inspiring the spirit, the energy to facilitate your mind and body to act optimally
Mhm. Mhm.
and communicate optimally. So
Mhm.
these are the things that we really go into. And so the tail is what really stops people from achieving what they should be achieving. Now,
Mhm.
you mentioned the word exponential, so I want to get into that piece.
Okay.
You are exactly what you said. The spirit. What is that? Now let's go a little bit and let me give you the physics behind it. In my work, there is no motivation. I know I'm not a motivational speaker, although I wanted to be one. When I was younger, I didn't know how to define myself. I'm somebody who uses science
Mhm.
to to communicate to leaders that if they leverage science, they can not only lead well, but they can also achieve every ambition that they want, that they've got. And when I say leader, I'm not talking about formal leaders alone, although they are the most important people that I want to address.
Mhm.
Every one of us is a leader. The minute you're born,
I agree.
you are leading, yeah, you are leading your life. So the minute you're born in this world, you become a leader because you lead your life. Nobody else is leading it for you.
Mhm.
You lead the life of your family. Then you lead the life at work. There you may be a formal leader. Then you lead your life as a member of the society, or you become a leader in society. Every person needs to have that leadership. Now, let's go back. Where did we come from? We came from our parents. They existed before us. They came together, and the energies came together, and boom, we popped out.
Easy as that, yeah.
Really, that's all it is. And if you look across the world, that is what is happening to all species, living species. Parents come together and reproduction happens. Out of nowhere, just energy fusion creates energy. So go back to energy. The best person who really expounded it was Albert Einstein with the formula, with the theory of relativity. E equals mc squared. What is that? In simple terms, E is energy, mc squared, m is mass, and c is the speed of light squared. So energy equals mass multiplied by the speed of light squared. That is what E equals mc squared is. Which means what? Energy can be produced by mass exponentially. That's in simple terms. The other conclusion that we get is energy and mass are interchangeable. So which means mass is high amount of energy, exponential energy, and energy can become mass. That's how you and I were born. The energy produced us, the mass. We were a little mass when we were born. And then we grew. Where did we grow from? By eating things from the earth. By breathing from the universe, from the atmosphere. By drinking water from the oceans and from the earth. So we took everything from the earth, and we are only an extension of the earth. That is why people say, hey, be grounded, because you want to be in touch with where you came from. So, and that is also the reason why we come from the earth and go back to the earth in every religion in this world. So, if this is what is the great learning that our ancestors have put out, but we forget it because of all this stuff, that illusion that is going on around us, which is just chasing shiny objects. And unfortunately, many leaders get caught in chasing shiny objects. But here is the most important thing. If you are a person from the earth, then behave like the earth, is what I say. Look at the earth. How is it that the earth is able to hold you and I down, my friend? You think about it. Because of its magnetic capacity. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, the gravity is magnetic. The earth is a magnet. That's why it's able to hold everything together. My God. So now, if you're a mass, you're made up of bones, flesh, blood, ligaments, tendons, everything. If you're a mass and you're an extension of the earth, you should be magnetic. You're defined to be magnetic. But people don't behave as if they are magnetic. If the earth can have the exponential power, if the sun can have the exponential power, if the wind has that power, why is it that we limit ourselves because of the tail, the trauma, assumption, interpretation, limitation? We limit ourselves, get exhausted. Therefore, we are below capacity.
It's simple as that. I always think about the energy that it's like a battery. There is a plus, there is a minus, and we are sometimes putting away the energy. Sometimes we are there's incoming energy, and people behave like they have empty battery, and still they they chase shiny objects. That was perfect expression. I like that very much. I don't know why is that. Why we are caught up, and all leaders and higher up we are Do you have any explanation how to get out from this matrix, from this illusion? Do you have any advice for leaders who are listening, now becoming more and more curious?
Absolutely. And that is the whole point that we teach in this thing. What I'm hoping to teach the world in my travels, and particularly I want to teach leaders this, and share this with leaders, and also with the youth, and also with older people who kind of give up on life. um, the whole point is to inspire them so that they understand that they are only limiting themselves. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's a creation that has come because of those four things that I mentioned:
Mhm.
the trauma, the assumption, the interpretation, and the limiting beliefs that is exhausting them and draining that battery that you mentioned. I love your analogy of the battery. You think about it, if the battery is full, you can do more.
Mhm.
And when the battery is full, even your phone or your iPad or your laptop will perform all the functions, including what we are doing now on Zoom. But when the battery is down, it'll shut down most of the functions.
Mhm.
And then even if you push it, it'll just die. Similarly, a car, when the fuel is there, full tank is there, you with confidence and with clarity, you will drive. But when the fuel starts coming to reserve, what happens to your own body? You become tense because you don't know when it'll get exhausted, and people start panicking. Same thing happens in leadership. Leaders have to figure out how to keep their battery charged. That's the whole point about energy, inspire leadership. Inspire leadership is about energy management, because when you have more energy, like when the battery is full, you have the capacity to do many things.
Mhm.
Therefore, you have the clarity to do many things. So even if something that you didn't expect, which is what is common in leadership, you have your plans laid out, but something unexpected comes your way. And when that unexpected thing comes your way, you don't get distracted by it.
Mhm.
You'll view it, assign it a priority. Where does it rank? Is it very urgent? Is it very important? Is it very important and urgent? Or it's important but not urgent? Or it's not important at all? You assign it that priority thing, you put it into a matrix and you decide, and then you go back to what you were setting out to do.
Mhm.
Go back to your plan. So that way you're focused. You may even delegate it. You may involve partners. You may collaborate. All of that. So then what happens is your energy is still full because you're recharging. Whereas what happens to leaders? Oh, I was planning on doing this and this came up, and oh my God. Oh, we were planning to achieve our target of X million dollars in sales, but we got pounded because this new policy came, or this tariff came, or now we've got everybody is hiding under the famous Trump tariff, and so on and so forth. No, you don't have to. You can figure out a way. There are techniques that you can adopt, which allow you to reprioritize, reframe it, think about where the opportunity is. So, going back to what you were saying, a lot of leaders, Roman, and I have seen this in my personal leadership journey and in my non-leadership journey when I was a young man as well. I've seen leaders who manifested and showed great leadership. So I learned from them how I should conduct myself. But I also saw leaders who manifested the fear and the frustration and all of that. And I knew what I should not be learning from leaders like that, because they were consistently exhausted. And they were not bad people. I'm going to say this. This is what a lot of people in the world, I hear them say, oh, my leader was a wretched person. They were torturing me. They were this. No, they were probably good husbands and wives and good parents in their family, but they didn't know how to create capacity. So their battery was running down all the time on them. And they were caught in that low battery phenomena everywhere. They not only screamed at work, but they went back home, and if the kid asked for something, they screamed at the kids too. So it's a vicious circle. If they only figured out, if they only knew how to manage their energy, it would have given them more capacity, clarity, conviction, and therefore better execution. And the most important thing here, unlike a battery that's dying, or you could probably say, even if you compare it that way, in a battery that's dying, only in the last 2% it starts misbehaving, or 5% it starts misbehaving. Your device, your phone or something starts misbehaving. But in a human being or in an animal, in any living being, the decay starts affecting parts and parts of your brain very clearly. You start, and it exponentially it brings you down. Watch this. What is the reason that fear and fight were put into your body? We call that catabolic energy. Catabolic energy is the energy that's decaying you. It's there for a reason. It's important to have some catabolic energy, because without it, we cannot protect ourselves. We cannot survive. So as a human being, nature gave that catabolic energy to us to protect ourselves. So without fear, you would be crossing the highway by foot and get run over by a car, right? Without the conflict energy, you wouldn't be going to the gym, or you wouldn't be able to ski. I know you love skiing, so you won't be able to do that. So there are many important things. Even carry your child, you won't be able to do that if you didn't have the catabolic energy. So that's needed for you to do well, but that's meant for survival. Our ancestors used it to hunt for food or run away from becoming food by a predator. But what's happening to the modern leaders is we take that tiger or whatever was chasing us, we take that into a boardroom, because we have all these tablets and phones and messages coming in the middle of the night. Sales targets achieved, not achieved. Somebody resigned. Somebody this, somebody kinds of things going on.
Venki.
And that is what is good. Yes.
I love it. I love what you say, and that reminds me one story from my life. Can I share it, please?
And then maybe
Of course,
you can.
I would love to hear that.
Maybe you can then continue by exploring this specific example. You mentioned, and I didn't know that you are doing triathlon as well. And in my life, I knew all these theoretically, and I'm very analytic person, and I need some practical experiment. So I registered for an Ironman. 4 kilometers swimming, 180 kilometers biking, then marathon running at the end. And I didn't train too much because I wanted to. Okay, so this is what they say. You have exponential energy. So let's try. Don't train. I was fit guy, but still, this is quite a distance. And I was instead of hard training, I was studying spiritual books and people like Gandhi. Where these people who are strong, powerful, who overcome these all obstacles you are talking about, how they do that? They need some source of energy inside, and I wanted to experiment on that during that race. Then it came, I was there, I was ready, and of course, I experienced some obstacles. It started to rain. I was freezing. I was exhausted. But somehow, when I started to think in a positive way, when I were imagining my kids, at the finish, myself, drinking beer after the race, and many, many, many other techniques that are just they were just ideas and processes in my head, but somehow, and I enjoyed the moment, and I talked to other people racing at that day, and it gave me so much energy. It was like secret secret source of energy coming into my body. I finished that race. It was not a special time, but I was so glad that I experienced that practical. And this is exactly what you just described. Uh, if you want clarity, don't get distracted by these obstacles, by fear and frustration. It was coming everywhere. So I focus on the plan. I planned these obstacles. I planned how to overcome them in my head, in my body. Uh, Reframe, prioritize, and get out from that circle of negative thoughts. So I don't know if does it make sense, but I experienced that during the day, and from that day, I am just thinking how to describe that process. And this is what you are just doing today, and that's amazing. How to teach that to other people, how to inspire other people to do that in real life, normal life, and in leadership. So this is my story.
Wow, amazing! First of all, congratulations on being an Ironman. That is unreal. Very, very good.
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm inspired by you. Quite honestly, my dream is to do a 70.3, a half Ironman. If I'm able to do that, it'll be
Yeah.
great. Right now, I'm doing Olympic distance,
Hmm.
so that's where I am right now. And I have a story for that. We'll share that another time, or at
Yeah.
the end we have time, I can share that as well. But your story is so inspiring for several things that you said. What did I hear? I heard that you opened your mind to
Hmm.
learning. I heard you say, I listened to what Gandhi did or somebody else did, or you probably heard many podcasts.
Hmm.
You heard, you listened, and you learned. That's number one.
Hmm.
So one of the best energies when we shift, we talked about catabolic energy, anabolic energy. One of the first things that you do is to listen. Listening allows us to become great leaders. In fact, if
Hmm.
there's one thing that we should be teaching in school, is not talking, but listening. And in leadership, we teach listening as the best skill that a leader can have. So you listened. That was number one.
Hmm.
Then what did you say? I wanted to, I was thinking about my kids at the finish line, you said. When you were freezing in that rain and the cold, you didn't anticipate, or you might have anticipated, you might have planned. So what did you do? You just went to the plan. And then when you were really getting down, where you were feeling that low energy, the catabolic energy come in, what did you do? You thought about your children at the finish line. You thought about your Pilsner, famous Pilsner, Czech Pilsner, which I enjoyed when I was in Prague, by the way. I loved it. So you thought about a purpose. You thought about what will I say and do that will inspire so many people. You attached your brain to purpose.
Hmm.
What did it do? It gave you a boost of energy. You recharged your battery, and boom, you went up. You had energy. So listening is number one. The next thing is being purposeful, about thinking about how I can win and help others win. So we call it the win-win. When your outlook changes to how can I win and help others win? Like if I finish the race, my kids will be inspired, so their life will be led by inspiration. If I do this, then oh my God, think about what I can say. Even in today's podcast, when you say you're an Ironman, you have inspired me to pursue my half Ironman that I'm pursuing. I'm sure you've inspired a number of young people through your podcast in being fit. Okay? Fitness, we'll talk about that when we talk about SPIRE, is very important for leadership energy. So that's number 2. So what did you do? You listened, which is, is the energy of empathy, energy of fixing issues. Secondly, you listen to yourself and you listen to others. That's the part of listening. Win, you help others win. And the third, you collaborated. What does that mean? That means you brought your body together. You brought your mind and body together. With your spirit, you were able to get your mind in a good spot. And you were able to finish the race. Now, if you think about what you're doing, and you're collaborating with me right now, you collaborated with so many other beautiful guests that you've brought on to your show, and you're going to do that in the future. You're collaborating for people to create a greater good for society. And when you think about your race, you did just that. That is why you were able to finish the race, although you felt that you didn't train enough. But it's not that you felt it and it stopped you. You said, that's what I'm going to train, and I'm going to train my spirit in order to lead the body. Wow. That's a different training. It's not either or. You have to have that level of fitness, and then you have to train your spirit. There are several people, the same thing applies in corporate leadership. Several people who go, we are all, highly educated in leadership and get our MBAs and all that, but then they rely on the MBA, or they rely on their education alone. That's not enough. Or they rely on a process. But if you listen to great leaders, leadership coaches like Ken Blanchard, or Dr. Stephen Covey, or Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, or Dr. Martin Seligman, they will all tell you that it is about focusing on what's working and get your energy to what's working, realizing your own strengths, focusing on your strengths and making it work for you. That's what you did to complete an Ironman. There
Perfect.
are very few people in the world who do what you've done.
You just excellently described the process. This is what I was looking for, the process behind it, because for me at that time it was unconscious. It just happened, and you just slice it down into several points that we need to repeat, because that's the trick, that's the secret sauce, according to my opinion. And we can, and that's the anabolic energy. That's the where we get the exponential energy. And this was just experience, my personal experience, when I felt, yes, if this is working in sport, this should work in real life. This should work in leadership. The same steps, same process. Do you agree, or do you?
Exactly. We lead human life. Our journeys, all of us, whether you're a CEO or a worker in the floor, or a bank teller, or you're an athlete, whoever you are, we're all human beings. We're all the same human being. We just have to be human. That's all. So what applies to one, you mentioned if it applies to sports, it should apply to work. Exactly. That's the truth. What applies to one applies to all. Wow. That is why it's so important for us to understand that it's a human existence, guys. This is not about something magical. Corporate leadership is nothing magical. If you're able to lead your life well in one dimension, you can replicate that in other dimensions. So what focus on what's working and what, and you said something very important. In fact, that is what led to my coming to what I'm doing here right now.
Mhm.
I was also doing these things unconsciously. Okay. In fact, I can tell you most of the leaders that are listening to me right now, to you and I right now, they're leading unconsciously. My clients who I coach right now, I coach several CEOs and I coach senior executives, I coach athletes, I coach musicians, I coach a model who walks the runway. Uh, they all do things or were doing things unconsciously. But the difference now is after a few sessions of this EN-SPIRE leadership, they've become conscious. So you have a model to fall back on. Oh, I'm feeling this way because I'm experiencing catabolic energy. And deep down, I'm experiencing fear. Instead of saying, this too shall pass, it's a common thing for people to say, this too shall pass. I say, make it pass quickly by following a process. That's it.
Mhm.
It's a structure. And one of my leaders used to say this all the time. And he had a military background. And he said, Venki, structure sets you free. Structure sets you free. So ever since then, anything I wanted to put together in my life, I would put it into a structure and then have a discipline around that and then execute furiously on that structure and the discipline. So Iron Man is a good example of that, right?
Mhm.
You have a process, you stick to it and you get through it. That's really what it is. So if you really look at what is going on, if you have a structure, if you have a process, and if you have a discipline, structure, process, discipline, you can repeat it. You can teach it to everybody. And that's what I decided I wanted to do because I saw a number of people, and I still see, my friend, I still see number of people, unfortunately, in an extreme situation, they're dying because of stress from everything, whether it is studies or work or family or whatever it is, illness of somebody else, they are dying, okay, and or at the least they are functioning in an unproductive manner. So I call that energy leakage. And when that happens, when you experience catabolic energy, which is the energy leakage, your toxins are up, your stress toxins are high, your cortisol, your adrenaline, and all the toxins are firing in the body. That promotes inflammation. You get inflamed and you get, your inflammation is up, your blood pressure is up, your cortisol is up, your sorry, your what do you cortisol or is up in the body. I'm forgetting the word that blocks the blood vessels. So help me if you have it.
Adrenaline.
All of that. Sorry.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline, exactly.
Mhm. Mhm.
Adrenaline is up, your cortisol is up, all of that. And what happens to your body now? Your blood vessels are getting clogged, your A1C goes up. Therefore, you are functioning, your brain is getting fuzzy. And therefore, you're not able to make good decisions. On the other side, when you're anabolic, your dopamine levels are up, you've got all the endorphins firing in the body. Your dopamine level is up, your oxytocin is up, your serotonin levels are up. Therefore, what happens to the body? It's healing itself. And it's becoming calmer, which allows your prefrontal cortex to open up in full. And because your prefrontal cortex is open up or has opened up, you have total clarity and you're able to make good decisions. And you get to live longer because inflammation is down, which means your cancer cells, everything is all down. People get cancer, blood pressure, cardiac disease, all of that because their inflammation goes up because of the catabolic energy. When you have anabolic energy, everything is calm. You live longer. We call it lifespan and health span.
Mhm.
Both are up. So this is
I
the
made
advantage of that.
I made notes, and you just described my life, that switch in my life that happened 15 years ago, and I have a green set of techniques, and these are anabolic and red ones. We can repeat that at the end, just to make sure that everybody understands. And what I want to explore is about how to make that switch, because I remember when you are burned out or close to burnout, and you have bad hormones, bad decisions, it's not easy just one day to switch it around, be positive, have positive emotions, and be conscious. So to people who are listening and they are in a red mode, what would be your advice? How to start, what to do, and slowly where to move?
Absolutely. Isn't that's the piece that is all about the SPIRE? The SPIRE is all about that. We have 5 dimensions where there are tactics, specific tactics that will allow you to go from catabolic to anabolic. By the way, the word I was struggling with was cholesterol. It came to my mind.
Yeah.
So, and that's a good, this is a live demonstration of catabolic energy. Because I was trying to get that, I was forcing my brain to get that word, it was not coming. But
When you relax?
when I relaxed, when you talked, I took a deep breath, which is one of the tactics. I took a deep breath and I said, I know. Let me help further the conversation. Let me get that word back, and boop, it popped right away. Cholesterol, right? That's what. So, so hopefully that's a live demo for people. So there you go about energy, right? When you're catabolic and you're struggling, relax and it'll come to you, right? Because you know it. Have the confidence that you know it, it'll come to you and it'll come. So now, what are the 5 elements of SPIRE? Why do we call it SPIRE? My program is called EN-SPIRE, Energy with SPIRE. What is SPIRE? SPIRE is 5 dimensions from where you can recharge your battery. You can recharge it by thinking about the spiritual dimension, which is what you did. My purpose, oh my God, when I finish, I'm imagining my kids at the finish line and how will their souls and their spirit be kindled when I finish and I hug them. And how will I be charged that I can go and further inspire the world with that energy? Okay. It's about thinking about your purpose and the fact that what you did mattered. Okay. We call that mattering. Okay. So that is number 1. That is SPIRE. And then, of course, being very mindful, being in the moment, enjoying that process and focusing completely. When you're mindful, what happens? Your concentration is very high because your prefrontal cortex is opening up and you're not letting the back of your brain, the amygdala, which is the early warning receptor, flare up. it's down. So your prefrontal cortex is up. Mindful. So your focus, concentration, peak performance state of mind, we call it. That's possible only when you're in that mindful presence. So if you can train yourself to that, watching your breath is a very good way to bring mindful presence. We call it experiencing the extraordinary in the ordinary, or the magic in the mundane. That's spiritual dimension. Physical dimension. Now, if I'm sitting for a long time and I'm feeling a little lethargic, rather than slump on the chair like that, you know, which is what your body will want to do, because a body at rest stays at rest. You give it a little rational jolt. Get yourself up, do a couple of jumping jacks, and watch your blood circulation change and your brain change and your hormones, everything change and rebalance itself. So the physical dimension, what are we talking about here? We're talking about, instead of reaching for, unfortunately, in today's world, especially, in my brokerage time, once the market finished, whether it was up or down, everybody would head to the bar. That's it. That was a daily routine for many people. And I'm sure you've seen movies and everything. It's all very real. It's done from real thing. It's that a lot of people would go to substances because they said they just blamed it on a stressful job. You don't need to do that. You can go for a run. You can go for a walk. You can hold your hand with your wife or your partner. You can go and hug your kids. It does the same thing. So nutrition is highly important. Hydration is very important. Eating a well-balanced meal is very important. Looking after your body is important. Exercise is critical. In fact, the single intervention that can extend your life and your health span is exercise. Some people say you cannot eat yourself out of exercise yourself out of a bad diet. But there is many research showing that exercise is the single component that can give you longevity and better health span. And there are many dimensions there. Number three, sleep is very important. Sleep is where your body goes into that recovery mode, reorganizes everything. Sometimes you have a very busy thing, you're working on something, you just get a nice nap for 20 minutes, power nap, you wake up and boom, you have the solution right up there, because the body has a way of reorganizing itself. So sleep. And then touch, hugs, touching, shaking hands, giving high fives. If your culture is not in shaking hands, give a high five. Even a virtual high five like you and I can do right now. Yeah, that generates dopamine. See, you smiled. Even though it was a demo, you smiled when I gave you a virtual high five. Leaders are so wrapped up in their own problems that they forget to do these things. These are all things that you can do. In fact, I would say, in this process of physical dimension, recovery, I want to talk about recovery a little bit. You don't grow when you're doing, you grow when you recover. As an athlete, all athletes understand this very well. That when they go and do their workouts, they're not growing at that time. They're practicing to get their things perfect. But later, once they go back and they lie down and they recover and they rest, that's when the growth really happens. Because the brain works, the mind and body are integrated. So the practice, you're following what your mind has already created. And when a coach helps you get the form right, your body listens to the coach and it aligns to what the coach is saying. And that perfection is actually getting rewired in the brain. The brain is rewiring to the new form that the coach has taught you. That is why top athletes have a practice coach, have a form coach who gets them back on the form, and they rewire They rewire by practicing. It's neuroplasticity that creates the rewiring. But then when they sit back on the couch and think about it and they watch their video of that, that's when actually it gets programmed into the brain. And the recovery is when the actual new thing comes up. So the next time they go, they're closer to that. And then the more they practice, they get closer and closer to that new form. If you're a business, what is the corporate leaders that are listening to us right now? Who are they? I used to call myself a business athlete. Yes. And I sincerely believe that. And you can tell I'm not even smiling when I'm saying that because it's a serious thing. Before the Ironman, would you go and get yourself smashed in a party? No. Everybody, you're watching your diet, you're watching your sleep, you're watching your touch, you're conditioning yourself to that. Yet, what do most corporate events when they bring the entire global team together? What do? They have alcohol the previous night. And everybody is having a glass or two without realizing how much it impairs them the next day. They brought people from all over the world for this meeting. And they have a huge party the night before in the name of getting together. And alcohol actually impairs you and stays in your body for a longer time. So next day, by definition, humanly, it's not possible to be at your peak. In fact, the party should be the next day after you've done all your thinking. Right? But that is what athletes do. If you're playing for the World Cup in FIFA, you don't drink before. You get the champagne comes after you win. Okay? So that's what we've got to learn from other sports as a business leader, as a corporate leader, or a society leader. You're a business athlete. If you're making a presentation, make sure you sleep well. Make sure you eat well before. So the nest, we call it nest. Nutrition, exercise, sleep, and touch is all about conditioning yourself for that big event. Let's go to the intellectual energy. We are rational human beings. I inspire. And we need to rationalize everything. We are all intelligent people, and the listeners are all intelligent people. They need to rationalize. So rationalization is all about bringing things to make sense. And reflection is a very important thing for us. When we reflect, we learn from the most important person. Who? Us. We learn about us. And when we listen, remember we talked about anabolic energy, listen before, we listen to ourselves. Oh my God, what did I feel? Why did I do? When we sit and talk to our own self and we reflect, we are having a conversation with ourselves, the most important person in the world. Once that is done, we can have conversations with others. So communication, energy, this leadership is about harnessing and honing the communication with yourself and with the rest of the world. If you want to be a great leader, you need to communicate extremely well with yourself. And then you need to also be able to communicate with others. Leadership, sales, marketing is all about communication. And communication will be fantastic when you're anabolic. Then, let's think about failure. I've got multiple examples. When I came to Canada, I was hired by a very good brokerage firm, one of the top brokerage firms on the street, which is Wood Gundy. And I was there. And of course, the CEO who hired me at that time, given my previous banking background with the Australian New Zealand Bank, when I got hired, my resume was fantastic. So I got hired. But then I had to bring business in Canada. And I had a thick Indian accent at that time. And when I would talk, people wouldn't be able to understand. And I was shocked that I'm a I was a pretty well educated guy. I'd already had experience with this. And I was hired by this company. And now I got to go get business. And nobody is able to understand me. I'm making calls. I had to make calls and get business. Nobody was there. My colleagues were laughing at me. And I was getting demoralized. It was a low point in my life, Roman. And I decided to talk about it only a few years back. Because I want all the kids in the world to listen to this and leaders to understand that failure is inevitable. Is inevitable. You must fail in order to succeed. And I would make 100 calls a day. I gave a speech to emerging leaders in the school board in Toronto. And they said, they introduced me as an executive of a big bank and all my designations. And I said, what you heard is what I've become. But when I was your age and I was sitting there, I don't think you would have even thought that I would be here speaking, because I didn't have confidence that I would make it. Today, I can tell you that even when I was 33 years old in Canada and I was making calls, I went through the same thing that I went through in my childhood, the lack of confidence. And I was broken. I used to literally cry and come back home and tell my wife, my God, what did we do in immigrating to Canada? We were doing so well. We should go, what should we do? Should we go back? Because now it would be shameful to go back, because they've all said, oh, Venki is a great guy. He's going to do well in Canada. But people are not able to understand my accent. So what did I do? I would come home. My wife would say, well, I believe in you and I know you want to help a lot of people. This is your chance to overcome your thoughts and your beliefs. You're the Mr. Motivator. Go be on purpose and work this through. Go seek help, she said. And that's what I did. I listened. I knew my strength. My strength was research, because I had a strong financial background. So I would research stocks and options and other things. And I would share that with my colleagues. And I would tell them, can you observe my call and correct me? And they would correct my pronunciation. And they would correct my thing. So we collaborated. So I went from being fearful and frustrated that I was not getting any calls and losing hope, to working for them, giving them things so that they would give me something back, and they corrected my accent, my pronunciation, and they encouraged me. After that, they would encourage me. And slowly, I started connecting. Out of 100 calls, people would listen to me a little more. And soon, within 3 months to 6 months, I started coming closer to the average. I was still below average. And my firm was telling me, you better wrap up your performance, otherwise you're going to be out of the door. That is how it is in the brokerage world. But very soon, in 6 months' time, I was close to average. So they were pretty impressed. By 9 months' time, I was well in my group. By the year end, I'm going to tell you this, it's a fact. I got an award as a top producer in the annual conference in Bermuda.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you. So for me, it was all about thinking back to Nelson Mandela, people like, Pele, Václav Havel, all of them. What did they do in the face of resistance? What can I learn from them? How can I shift to that? But I did it unconsciously. I did not know this process of shifting. But in a way, I was staying on purpose. And that is what it is.
Venki, you just described another part of my life. And congratulations, you made it, and congratulations, and I'm very glad that you are doing the work you are doing right now, because people need, especially people who are at that position, where they have a job, it's not easy, they need to, I like the expression, work through the resistance. They need inspiration. They need motivational speakers like you, because I remember myself. I was also doing hundreds and thousands of phone calls at some part of my life, and it's you can be desperate. You can give up. But when you, as you say, when you seek support from people around us, our friends, our partners, and seek help, seek feedback, and get better and better every day, every time, every phone call, suddenly you find some yourself at some level. And I remember, if I make 100 phone calls, 20 people from 100, they will say yes, okay, send me email, and from that 20, 5 of them, they say yes, okay, I send you a job. So I knew that if I make 1,000, I win so many clients. But making that first 1,000, it's not easy. So my question is, any ideas, any tip how to work through that resistance, how to not give up? Any advice?
Yes. How to work through that resistance is the SPIRE piece. I'll go back to the SPIRE piece. We discussed S, spiritual, being on purpose, thinking about your kids. Thinking about, for me, it was about, oh my God, what am I going to, do with this? I can change the world. I can help clients. And then later in leadership, how can my people benefit? When I lead with motivation, a lot of families are going to benefit. A lot of kids are going to get better education. They're going to have a better quality of life. When you think about that, even now, when I'm doing this, when I when I go up on stage, sometimes, I was talking to a big group in HSBC, 2,000 people. First time I addressed that large a group in one meeting, and some of them were live, some of them were virtual, all over the country. When I did that, I was nervous, and it gave me some goosebumps before I went on the thing. So what do I do? That is, what is that? That's level. That's the catabolic energy. That's saying, hey, Venki, what do they think of you? What are you doing in this? When I was speaking at a conference, in psychology conference in Mexico, uh, and all of them are doctors and psychologists, and I'm standing there and speaking to them. I'm saying, what are you doing talking to these people? They've all got their PhDs in this, and are they going to listen to you? The little voice is always there, right? So the way you do things is, then I said to myself, no, I'm going to help them. So when I'm saying I'm going to help them, I listen to, what am I here for? I'm listening, which is what I'm doing. I'm listening. When I'm listening to myself, what am I here for? I'm back to purpose. SPIRE, S, spiritual energy. I know what I'm going to do matters. Then I do some mindful presence. I get my physically, I'm back. I drink some water, I'm good. Then I'm thinking, okay, what if I fail? It's not a big deal. I learned something out of this. And then you focus back on your relationships. Oh my God, these people are all waiting to hear what I have to share. And I'm going to give. I focus on giving. I'm giving something without really expecting too much or anything. I'm sharing. When I share, I give, I know people will be filled with gratitude. And that's highly anabolic. I'm facilitating a win-win. I'm helping somebody win. So that's relational energy. And when you have relationships, it's the best thing. It's the best currency for happiness.
And number 5, is it
It's
emotional?
Emotional energy. And that is the key. When you balance your emotion, and how do you balance your emotion? You accept what is given to you. Because there's so much that you have. Why focus on what you don't have? And you accept that you're a human being. That I can feel jealous if somebody else got the job. When I was becoming an executive, I was a VP for 15 years, and I was trying to become an executive. In Canada, we have something called an executive VP. So I wanted to be not just a VP, but an executive. So you would think that, oh, in the beginning, Venki struggled, but he didn't struggle after he achieved a lot of success. I was rejected 3 times. It took me 3.5 years to get my get my executive VP position and be a boarded executive of the bank. But you go through that and you say you're a human being. Yeah, was I envious? Did envy hit me about because one of my colleagues got the job? Somebody else? Or in fact, one of the people from Google got the job instead of me, who's been in the bank, a loyal member of the bank. Somebody else got the job. So you could go through all those emotions, but you don't articulate them and you don't manifest them. Your permission to be human is what we call that. And the last piece is when you have gratitude, what are you really doing? And when you have appreciation, what are you really doing? You're saying, I'm thankful for what I have. That's what is gratitude. Rather than, I'm unhappy because I don't have something. So it's a difference that sometimes people think, oh, gratitude, oh, big deal. No, it's what you have. If you enjoy what you have, then you're going to be very happy and you're going to be anabolic. And then you appreciate. Appreciating people is so important. In fact, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar always said, when he said it first, it just resonated with me so much that I told him, I'm borrowing it. I'm going to just plagiarize you everywhere. And he said, just go right ahead. Use it. It's yours, Venki. Don't worry about it. Because he said, when you appreciate the good appreciates. So whether it's the good in another human being or the goodness all around appreciates, you create a better world. So when you're a leader, take the time to appreciate yourself first so that you feel good about yourself. And then take the time to appreciate the people around you, your leadership team, your senior leadership team. Because most of the time I find when I became an executive, I found boom, 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 boom. You're told what to do. Your marching orders is all you get. You don't get appreciation. Remember, there's a child in you, even if you're a CEO. Okay? So every child wants that appreciation, is really asking for that appreciation. So in summary, that's what brings you back to anabolic energy. SPIRE, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional energy. It's a tactical approach in that. Within that, we have many things that we do, like the breathing thing, the box breathing, the 478, all of that, or mindful presence, yoga, all of that, running, jumping jacks, you name it, eating well, all of that, weightlifting, all of that is important. So anytime when, just like what happened when I could not remember cholesterol during our little interaction there, I kept repeating cortisol, right? Because I was trying hard. But then the minute I relaxed, cholesterol came right back. Every time, all we want to do is engage our prefrontal cortex and really calm down the amygdala in the back. Shift from in our nervous system, shift from the sympathetic nervous system, which makes us survive, which is fear and flight. So flight and fight mode, which takes us from the catabolic energy, sympathetic nervous system is active, which is when the blood pressure, inflammation, all the cancer, all the negative signals in the body get activated. 2, be compassionate. Listen to you, listen to your body, listen to your own self. Think about how you can help somebody else win, and you win in the process. Also, think about collaboration, which is what you heard in my example when I was making those calls. My friends helped me. and I collaborated with them. I gave them something, so they gave me something, and then you win, 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 etc. So that is what leads to the shift in the energy. So then your parasympathetic nervous system is active, which means your dopamine is higher, your oxytocin is higher, your serotonin is higher, and your endorphins are higher. That elevates trust. And when you have more trust, you have more business. You become a magnet for business when you're more trustworthy. And that is what I'm writing about in my book. It's about trust energy. How do you build trust? Trust is the ultimate currency for business.
Mhm.
So it's not a question of talking, talking, talking. It's about acting, and it's about also conditioning your body, bringing your body to the right level where you're able to trust another human being.
Venki, I think you perfectly described answer to my question, where to start, how to do it. I'm signing all these points with my blood. I experienced that. It worked. It got me there. So let me maybe as a summary, let me, because I have like 2 pages of notes from this conversation. There is a structure, there is a science. This is applicable to anyone who is listening to this podcast, anyone who is feeling down, who is not happy in life, who is looking for a change, maybe people who don't know where to start. I think this is the recipe. This is what they can do starting now, not tomorrow, not the next week, right now. And so what I have in my notes, think in 5 dimensions. Just follow the EN-SPIRE model. S stands for spiritual. It's not there in the sky. It's right here. It's about finding that purpose, how we matter, be mindful, focus. Even if we, like we mentioned that example from Ironman, and when it started to rain, everybody pull out jackets. I didn't have jacket, so I could freeze there. I could be angry to myself or just focus. Okay, so for next 20 kilometers, I will freeze, and then it will be better. And watching our breath, that's very important. This is I can do it right now when I talk. Focus on helping other people. Then P stands for physical. If I'm wrong, or if you want to add anything, just interrupt me. So physical. I like the example you mentioned. Don't drink alcohol. Even you are tired after work. The first thing, like drink a beer, wine. Get exercise. Go outside. Go for a walk. It doesn't matter what kind of movement, but move. That's what brings you the energy. I like recovery. This is the biggest mistakes for everyone, doing Ironman. They can't recover. This is where you grow. Those gaps between sport activities or even working, this is where we get stronger. This is recovery time. This is a lesson of my life, Sleep, power naps. I all applied it in my life. It worked. What was new? What was new today? I didn't realize that the touch with other people, hugs, high fives. This is new for me, and I know we all need that. Respecting the culture, respecting the people around us. Intellectual energy. What I learned, bringing things to make sense, reflect. I love what you said. Listen to ourselves first, and then communicate. I like failure. that it's inevitable. This is why many friends that we studied at university together, they were not the best students, but they learned how to fail and get up and rise and shine again. These people are the most successful these days, not the with A grades.
100%.
Work through resistance. It's not easy. Sometimes we face difficult and tough situations, so seek for support, seek help, get feedback. This is why we need to cultivate relationships and focus on giving and sharing to people with gratitude and collaborate. We can't do that alone. Egoistic leadership, it's the opposite of conscious leadership. And last one, but not least, emotional energy. Accepting emotions, focus on what we have, be human, and gratitude means being thankful for what I have and appreciate the good in other people. This all brings and elevates trust, and where we are trustworthy, we naturally, that's the trick, we get business, and it's not talking, it's acting. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Amazing. Amazing.
You brought the structure.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have discussed this with you. Roman, what an honor to be on your podcast and share this with you. I will tell you, it's only natural that you use the word natural, and I'll summarize it in this way as a last thought. It's only natural that we experience catabolic energy and anabolic energy. As a human being, we are only made to survive. All life forms are made to survive. COVID was a good example. Even when we tried to beat it, it was trying to beat us back. But we finally beat it. Any life form has two energies. If you look at the earth or you look at the sun, you need the sun's energy, but you don't want to go too close to the sun. You'll get burnt. Water, you need it for hydration, otherwise you can't live. But you don't want a tsunami. You don't want the same thing with fire. You want the fire to cook your meal, but you don't want it to burn your house down. Same thing with the earth itself, which is where we are from. The earth is calm for the most part, but think about what happened in the Philippines or Turkey or in Hawaii, where the earth exploded in a volcano or it caved in as an earthquake. Those are catabolic energies. So you as a human being, you and I as a human being, we're going to have those eruptions. We're going to have those caving ins. It's only natural. Don't be hard on yourself when that happens. That's why we say permission to be human. Accept it that you're a human being. But then you're a rational human being. So you have the ability to shift by using SPIRE, as you summarized. So just go through the journey, adopt the process, use one of the tactics, and live life. Enjoy it.
Venki, thank you so much for this deep and grounded conversation. And to everyone listening, maybe take a moment and ask yourself from what energy I'm leading today, how I act, how I think about me, about other people. And as Venki mentioned, play with these recipes, experiment, and if you like it, if that worked, let us know. Let us know in comments. Send us feedback. Venki, how can people reach you? Do you have any specific website or social networks?
Yes. They can reach me at Perk Coaching, PERCCOACHING.com,
Mhm.
www.perkcoaching.com, or they can also reach me on LinkedIn, Venki
Mhm.
Raman, Energy Leadership Executive Coach. And I
Thank
can
you.
I can send you the info as well.
Yeah. So Venki, thank you very much, and to you all, thank you for listening to Roman Zelenka podcast. Leadership can be lonely. You don't have to navigate it alone. So see you next time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.